I just wanted to pull up a couple things. One is this old article from The Intercept that we talked about, I don't know, months ago when it first came out. It's from May. It's by Naomi Klein. And
Yep.
I keep coming back to this piece. And I think it plays right into what we're talking about, how they're using COVID as an opportunity. Never let a crisis go to waste, right? This is called Green New Deal. Under cover of mass death, Andrew Cuomo calls in the billionaires to build a high-tech dystopia. And this piece is basically about how they've been working with Google, with Eric Schmidt, Google CEO, former CEO, to try and push, it's basically like they've wanted to do a number of things for a while, one of which I think is make us a cashless society. But the other is to sort of move us into a place where we're not interacting in the public as much. Like what you just said in this, they have the goal of maintaining what it's like now, not having us going out and interacting. And so sort of forcing us all into this new screen relationship where when we get our food, it's from ordering it. If we do go somewhere, it's from a kiosk. It's limiting human interaction.
Can we pause for there for a second, Carrie, just for a moment? Because there's a reason why they want everything to go through the screen. Because when Carrie and I talk in person, there's no one listening and there's no one that can moderate that conversation. But if Carrie and I have to talk over the internet, someone can listen and someone can moderate that conversation. They can change how they control that personal relationship when it's digital in a way that they don't when it's live. So if all of us, I don't know how many people are watching or listening right now, but if all of us were in a large room together having a conversation, there's nothing they could do about this conversation. They don't have any insight into it. They can't control it. They can't shut it down. There's nothing they could do about it. But because it's happening online, we've got YouTube's hands up in this conversation as much as they want because we're online. And that's true for social media. It's true for the internet generally. They like forcing people online because it allows them to control relationships. It allows them to see that post from Carrie or not, depending on whether they like what Carrie posted. So I just wanted to point that out.
To see all the communications. Somebody, Dion in chat just said, I bet they already have plans to turn office buildings into housing. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So from this article, I just wanted to read just a little bit of it. So she talks about how Cuomo announced a partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to develop a, quote, smarter education system. Calling Gates a visionary, Cuomo said that the pandemic has created a moment in history when we can actually incorporate and advance Gates's ideas. All of these buildings, all of these physical classrooms, why with all the technology you have? He asked, apparently rhetorically. Right. Okay, so this is where we get to the meat of part of it. It has taken some time to gel, but something resembling a coherent pandemic shock doctrine is beginning to emerge. Call it the Green New Deal. Far more high-tech than anything we have seen during previous disasters, the future that is being rushed into being as the bodies still pile up treats our past weeks of physical isolation not as a painful necessity to save lives, but as a living laboratory for a permanent and highly profitable no-touch future.
That's right.
Anuja Sonekar, CEO of SteerTech, a Maryland-based company selling self-parking technology, recently summed up the new virus personalized pitched. Quote, there has been a distinct warming up to humanless, contactless technology, she said. Humans are biohazards, machines are not. It's a future in which our homes are never again exclusively personal spaces, but are also, via high-speed digital connectivity, our schools, our doctor's offices, our gyms, and if determined by the state, our jails. That's an important part because I want to talk about something later that just happened in Denmark, our jails. Of course, for many of us, those same homes were already turning into our never-off workplaces and our primary entertainment venues before the pandemic, and surveillance and incarceration in the community was already booming. But in the future, under hasty construction, all of these trends are poised for warp speed acceleration. This is a future in which, for the privileged, Almost everything is home delivered, either virtually via streaming and cloud technology or physically via driverless vehicle or drone, then screen shared on a mediated platform. It's a future that employs far fewer teachers, doctors, and drivers. It accepts no cash or credit cards under guise of virus control and has skeletal mass transit and far less live art. It's a future that claims to be run on artificial intelligence, but is actually held together by tens of millions of anonymous workers tucked away in warehouses, data centers, content moderation mills, electronic sweatshops, lithium mines, industrial farms, meat processing plants, and prisons, where they are left unprotected from disease and hyperexploitation. It's a future in which our every move, our every word, our every relationship is trackable, traceable, and data mineable by unprecedented collaborations between government and tech giants. Okay, this whole article is
it's a great article.
Amazing. Yeah, you guys, we'll put this in the notes because you have to read the whole thing. I don't want to take up more time reading it, but she's talking about how everything's been moving. They've been moving everything here anyway. COVID was just a great opportunity, a crisis that they're using to push us there faster.
Yep. No, and that's the concern. And they use a lot of jargon also when they talk about things, and so it makes it seem like it's kind of, it makes it hard to debunk sometimes because they use a lot of jargon, like this guy who I guess coined, I don't know if he coined the term, but the main guy, the Klaus Schwab dude for the Great Reset, he talks about, well, shareholder capitalism has failed. We need stakeholder capitalism, which is like this different kind of thing. And they'll talk about this stuff, and if you're not understanding what they're talking about, it kind of seems like, well, that's just reasonable. They're trying to make the world a better place. But it is all just about control. That's all it is. It's just about control. It has nothing to do with, by the way, they use the word capitalism so that you don't freak out, because if they said socialism, a lot of Americans would freak out, even though I know a lot of people kind of now like it. That word, there's still a lot of people who were like, they don't like this idea of they need some kind of quote capitalism. And to me, I asked the question, when they call it the Great Reset, the question that I asked myself, first of all, actually, I think the name is telling because it indicates, I called them system architects before. That's how they think of themselves. This is how a system architect would define this. They view your life as part of a larger system, and they just want to press the reset button because they're the operator of the system. That's time to hit the reset button on all you people, proletariat. Bye, reset button. We don't like the way things are going. You guys over here in America have too much freedom, and this isn't working out over here. Beep, we're gonna hit the reset button. So that betrays how they think of themselves. But it also, I asked a question to myself, like, okay, what are they resetting? And the only answer I can come up with is the Enlightenment. That's the reset. They don't like it.
Yeah.
The Enlightenment was a meme. It was a mind virus that they hate. It undermined their control for some period of time. They've been working to undo it ever since. And this is their opportunity. This is their opportunity to drive the final nail in the coffin of the Enlightenment. They want to reset. They want to reset because the Enlightenment has created a level of chaos that they don't like. And by chaos, I just mean people making decisions they don't like, doing things they don't like, not following the rules that they want to set down, saying the things they don't like. Basically, people being people and being free and having the liberty to do what they want instead of being tax animals on a tax farm. And what they want is for you to be shut up and be a tax animal on the tax farm. And they'll give you a little bit of liberty and a little bit of freedom if it makes you work harder and makes, they get more taxes out of it. If they can, they'll engineer your behavior. It's not like you'll have no freedom. They'll give you just enough so that, the machine, because this is how they think of it. This is how they think of the world and people. The machine works. And they're trying to optimize the machine. Notice how this completely ignores individual rights. There's no morality here at all. Zero morality. Zero.
Yeah.
This is anyone who looks at the world like a machine is completely divorced from morality. But that's how they look at it.
that, like you said, they'll give you just enough. They'll give you the bread and circuses, you know. They'll give you, remember how at the beginning of the lockdowns, the people who seemingly supported the government, like local and state governments, thinking they had the right to tell you that you
Right.
couldn't operate your small business or go to work. The people that were comfortable with that were like, what's the big deal? I get paid working from home, don't you? And it's a Netflix. Somebody said to me, enjoy the Netflix vacation.
Right.
That's your bread and circuses, I guess. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they would love that. And you know, just to be clear,
And
I
they're
don't. Go ahead.
Well, and I can't help but think of Brave New World a lot during all this, and you know the foreword, which I've mentioned pretty frequently, I guess, the foreword to his second edition of the book, and I think it was 1942. Huxley wrote about what in the time since he had written the book in the 30s, how much further we had progressed towards this dystopia than he thought we would have in that short amount of time.
Yep.
And he talked about what he thought was necessary to actually take us there fully. And, you know, in the book, there's a drug. He made this drug up, and it takes place in the future, guys. You know the book. Soma. He says something like Soma will have to become legal and distributed to the masses, and that has all the numbing pleasant effects of heroin or whiskey, but without all the bad side effects. And I'm not saying pot is like that. And I do think I'm a person like you, probably, Carter. I think pot should be legal. But it is interesting to me that what's happening side by side with this is pot is becoming legal. And I see more people, especially during this lockdown, just choosing to check out. And, you know, that's part of the bread and circuses. That's like keep you muted.
I don't think the science was there when Orwell made this statement, so he couldn't have known this. But I think the drug is social media.
Yeah.
The drug, you have your own chemicals in your brain that give you the euphoric experiences and the anticipation of a reward. Your brain chemistry is all there. Drugs just trigger something in it.
It is.
And
it is
social media triggers it. Social media triggers it.
It is a drug.
So
have you seen The Social Dilemma yet? I finally watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So I think, you know, I think we're there.